I'm joined by director Steven Spielberg. Steven, thanks for being here.
Nice to be back.
Steven is here to talk about another political film. All of these are taken from the New Republic's list of the 100 most significant political films of all time. You are here to discuss film number 59. Robert Rossen writes and directs All the King's Men from 1949. Broderick Crawford as Willie Stark, a very clear take on Huey Long, governor of Louisiana and then a senator. What draws you to All the King's Men?
I think what draws me is the question, is he a messiah or a dictator? Here's a man that grows up with very simple values. He refers to himself as a hick. And he thinks that everybody around him are his equal. They're all in the same economic waste bin where government ignores them. He really is trying sincerely at the beginning of the story to fight for what the people want, because he's also fighting for what he wants.
There's no need in my telling you what this state needs. You are the state and you know what you need.
And it is about how power corrodes and corrupts a human soul.
Yeah, there's this notion in him that if the cause is just in his mind, then whatever damage is done to get to that just cause is unimportant, insignificant.
He tells his voters, it's not me they're after, it's you.
Right.
1949, where have we heard that before?
Yeah, that's right. And it's effective. No question it's effective.
And he's effective, Broderick Crawford.
Broderick Crawford, who won an Oscar for this performance. He's so good here.
He so deserved that win. He was so great, of course, in Born Yesterday with Judy Holliday, and he was, of course, incredible in almost everything he did, including Highway Patrol, the TV series that I grew up with.
Right. Ann Seymour plays his wife, Lucy. I think she's wonderful, too.
Wonderful.
Really.
She is steady as a rock, but she is so long-suffering. What he does to essentially kill her inside is hard to bear.
I think very effectively, Robert Rossen, through the scenes with Crawford and Seymour, through Willie and Lucy Stark, we see little glimpses early, before his corruption is made explicit, that maybe he's not the Messiah, right? That maybe he's in it for Willie Stark.
You know, look, he never had a drink in his life, doesn't touch the stuff. When he gets involved in people wanting to run him for governor, not to win,
right, to help somebody else win,
but to split the ticket.
Right.
They want Harrison to win. He's not told this, and he's being played for a rube, or sort of I think she refers to him as a wooden head.
Right.
But he doesn't know that they're playing him to get the other guy elected governor. And the way Mercedes McCambridge, who's brilliant, remember her from Giant, played Rock Hudson's sister in that, great actress. She starts to ply him with alcohol.
Hey, lay off that. You're not used to it.
He's not used to a lot of things, are you, Willie?
Why don't you lay off him, Sadie?
Are you, Willie? Are you?
By the way, I have to tell you one story. Everyone says Mercedes McCambridge. I said it. Robert Osborne said it. I was...
Mercedes.
Because...
You have to pronounce her name. I didn't do it right. It's Mercedes.
But I only know that because my father, at one point, I was doing scripts at the house in D.C., and my father said, what's coming up? I was doing Giant.
Right.
And I said, and he goes, with Mercedes McCambridge. And I'm like, it's Mercedes, Dad. And he's like, no, it's not. I'm like, everyone's saying, of course it's Mercedes. It's a car, right? And he says, I don't know. I always called her Mercedes when we were going out. And I'm like, I'd been at TCM a decade. And I was like, wait, what? Right? When you were dating? He was like, yeah, we went out for 2 or 3 months and it was Mercedes. And I'm like, well, then how could you not be telling me this? And then sure enough, you look up when she wins the Best Supporting Actress Oscar here, and at the Academy Awards, there's Ray Milland saying Mercedes McCambridge. My father was always right. But she'll go down in history as Mercedes McCambridge for pretty obvious reasons. But she's phenomenal here. I think John Ireland is very strong here as the reporter.
John's very strong here. John Ireland's great. He's trying with all his might and all his soul to hang on to his moral core. He knows it's being corrupted. He knows he's losing it because he's being promised a raise from $200 a week to $400 a week. But he doesn't just do it for the money. He does it because he's among the power brokers of that state. As the not only main advisor to Willie Stark, he teaches Willie Stark how to talk plain speak to the people. He gets him off the written, prepared, speeches, and just encourages him to speak from his heart.
Right. All right, Stephen, we'll watch the movie and we'll come back afterwards and talk some more. Here it is, written and directed by Robert Rossen in 1949, cast led by Broderick Crawford, along with John Ireland, Joe Andrew, and Mercedes McCambridge.
You said it right.
I got it. All the King's Men. Back with Steven Spielberg to discuss All the King's Men. The thing that gets me most whenever I see All the King's Men, which, by the way, my father, who ran George McGovern's campaign, was Bobby Kennedy's press secretary. He thought that this film and John Ford's 1958 picture, The Last Hurrah, most realistic political films he's seen from that era.
Right.
But the thing that gets me is John Derek, who plays a very handsome son of...
The son of Willie Stark.
Right, adopted son of Willie and Lucy Stark. So he's driving drunk and he kills this girl. And the father comes to see Willie Stark and he offers him a drink. His daughter has just been killed in a drunk driving accident. And every time I'm like, oh, man.
Then he asks him, what do you do? And when he tells him what he does, he offers him a bribe.
Yeah, right. There's always a way to take care of something, and he thinks this will take care of that.
He also hires a bunch of Goombas to be his hand-billed deliverers.
Right.
And they look like George Raft's crew in Some Like It Hot.
They do. One of those guys is a pretty good actor, Tiny Duffy, who sort of initially was more powerful than Willie Stark, but by the end he's reduced to being one of his hand-billed deliverers.
Exactly.
But that's an actor named Ralph Dumke, who I noted had a very small part in War of the Worlds.
Yes, he did.
Which I believe was remade later.
Yes, later remade.
Yeah. Yet the film feels so authentic still, All the King's Men does.
Well, there's a lot of exterior shooting on real locations.
Yeah.
You can tell when things are done against the sky, probably on the back lot somewhere. But Rawson, he was a director of naturalism. When you look at The Hustler, you look at his other work, he was one of the most naturalistic directors of that period. And when he took it outside, it looked like it was 16mm documentary footage with the cast. The juxtapositioning between Hollywood staged scenes and more documentary shooting. I thought that was an amazing blend.
Yep.
And the crowd scenes were real, and they put the actors into real crowds, some of them sometimes carrying, torches.
The faces of the people in the crowd play a big role, too. And I thought very effectively cast as, forgive the term, but I'll use the term that Willie Stark used, as the Hicks. Those were carefully chosen actors.
Rawson had a vision for this. He really had a vision for this. And he was really trying to his only reference in the 40s was Huey Long. And he was trying to acquit the corruption of that particular period of history.
Huey Long also was assassinated. After he was governor of Louisiana, and he was elected to the Senate, and he didn't even take his Senate seat for like a year because he didn't want to leave the state. So he kept being the governor. He was governor and senator. And when he got into the Senate, he was still essentially governor. Like his old high school buddy became the governor. And when Huey Long would come back to Louisiana, that guy would vacate the governor's office and sit where the receptionist sat, and Huey Long would go back into his old office.
What was the whole thing about the demand for unlimited power, unlimited governance, which is really, leads to, there's only one road. It goes to the end of this great democratic experiment. That's where it ends, is the end of democracy.
Right. It was your idea that we cull some movies from this list of the New Republic's most significant 100 political films of all time. There's some sense in the world that at least in places like Turner Classic Movies, that we should shy away from talking about politics, because we certainly don't want to alienate an audience that has many different political views. Clearly, you don't subscribe to that. Not that we need to beat somebody over the head to think the same way, but that we need to be able to talk about politics and the future of democracy in order to help protect it.
Well, there's politics in everything. There's politics in every genre. You don't have to look very hard to find it. Sometimes it's not really emphasized. Sometimes they don't make a fine point out of it, but it exists. It's interchangeable with the culture.
All right, Stephen, as always, thanks very much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for all your support for TCM. It does not go unappreciated.
Thank you. TCM, may it go on for the next 100 years.
We'll take it. Stay with us. Stephen is done for the night, but the political films continue here on Turner Classic Movies.
Next on TCM, The Great Dictator, then Failsafe, and later, Ivan the Terrible Part 2. Reach for the Czars on TCM tonight.